Hello, I'm Michael Chonoles, and we're here at the OMG meeting in Long Beach. And I'm here with Rick Steiner. So can you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Rick Steiner. I'm currently an independent consultant. I spent nearly 30 years with Raytheon. My background with SysML is really, I'm as he mentioned, an author a co-author of the Practical Guide to SysML, along with Sandy Friedenthal and Alan Moore.
Very popular and useful book.
And I've been involved from the very beginning of conceptual development of SysML and then its eventual specification. And I still have responsibilities to clean up in the specification.
So why are you involved in SysML? What made you attracted to SysML standardization?
Well, what I'm really attracted to is model-based systems engineering. I'm really attracted to the idea of doing system engineering better and making better use of the time and talents of systems engineers rather than get bogged down in generation of documents, rather than get bogged down in having to do accounting of requirements and verifications and routine drudgery to some degree of writing paper specifications. I'd much rather have the creative talents of systems engineers focused on making sure that the right questions are being asked and that the answers are actually relevant to those questions rather than getting bogged. I've seen way too often where a specification gets written, paper specification, and a lot of the requirements that show up in it are really non sequiturs. They don't really apply, or they're not even valid. And my passion is around providing a structure or tool set to try to make that, to use computing power to our advantage, to try to make sure that system engineers can do the right thing and not waste time.
Well, I
think it'd be more fun to be a system engineer in a model-based environment.
And fun is important.
Fun is important, right? It's part of our creativity.
So now when you do model-based system engineering using SysML, do you usually start top-down or bottom-up or some other way?
It really depends on the problem we're trying to solve. This model-based systems engineering is not appropriate in all cases. There's sometimes where it's very appropriate and very useful. There's sometimes where, if you can't clearly articulate, for example, what you're trying to accomplish with your model, you probably want to hold off. You probably want to make sure you can articulate why it is you're building a model in the first place. So to answer your question more specifically, I did a lot of work doing proposal development, concept development while I was at Raytheon. We almost always started at the top level because we would have users or other key stakeholders engage, and we would want to start at the very top. What is it we're trying to do? How do we scope the kind of problem we want? How do we build a model, the domain that our customers are interested in? And from that, of course, we would start to have architectural alternatives, and that's very much a top-down approach. But there were several times where, okay, the contract's already been awarded, or we're in a follow-up phase, and we're not having to make those kind of decisions about scoping the concepts and the context of what we're doing. It's really more a matter, we need to be able to be able to document the interfaces or some of the interactions at a much lower level. At that point, it doesn't make sense to have to go all the way back up. As a matter of fact, it could be disruptive to try to say, well, we have to remap the entire context of the system. Rather, we'll just focus on the interfaces to be able to do the work that really needs to be done.
So now I also understand that you're now currently teaching a course at the University of California, San Diego. Yeah. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, I'm very excited about that. It is a course focused on system modeling with SysML, OMG SysML.
Of course, yeah.
But the important thing about the way this course is run is that it's going to be very much focused on the students actually building models and then maturing those models over the 9-week period of the class. I took over the teaching of this class from J.D. Baker, who did all the groundwork and left me a good supply of materials to draw from. Right. And one of the key things about doing that and having the students having to actually build models is the selection of a tool. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that JD had started, a tradition he started when he taught the class that I have kept up, is that the students have to decide on their own what tool they're going to use. Now, it's easier for me as an instructor if they all pick the same tool. But I think that's an important enough decision that I've deliberately decided to keep that as part of the
So
course.
they get to decide.
They get to decide. So as of right now, I'm very grateful for the folks at ASTA and for them to provide ASTA SysML licenses for my students. But there will be a couple other tool licenses that will be available as well. And I'm hoping that the students won't pick the same tool, but they may not, and I'll be okay with that because I have access to the tools. And it's important for them to work through that.
Well, that's great. It's been fun talking to you. See you at the next OMG meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Is that
Okay.
good?